Welcome back to LH Global Insights. Zhu Caihou is one of the most influential figures in the Chinese military. He has built a sophisticated, corrupt empire with power and influence that extends across many vital areas. He has not only used military power to protect and expand his empire, but also built an intense corruption network, connecting with partners and shell companies to hide assets and wrongdoings. When Xi Jinping started his ambitious anti-corruption campaign, Zhu Caihou quickly became the main target of the investigation under Xi Jinping, not only exposing Zhu Caihou's layers of corruption, but also exposing the vast piles of money and assets he had corrupted through bribery and abuse of power. Zhu Caihou tried to protect his interests by assassinating General Liu Yuan, who had denounced his wrongdoings, and orchestrated many other dark plots to destroy his opponents. However, all his efforts were in vain before the blast furnace campaign that Xi Jinping carried out. Zhu Caihou, one of the four tigers in Chinese politics, with all his power and plots, could not escape the net of justice that Xi Jinping had woven. The official road was full of flowers and ambition. Zhu Caihou was born into a working-class family in Liaoning province. The poverty of his family had instilled in him an iron determination to climb the ladder of power to change his life. His period of studying at the Harbin Military Technical Academy, from 1963 to 1968, marked the first turning point in his career. Although he started from a humble position in the artillery regiment in Jilin, but Zhu Caihou quickly turned it into a springboard thanks to his talent and ability to build relationships with superiors. After graduating, he was mobilized to serve in the artillery regiment in Jilin, a position that seemed to have little chance of advancement. In 1982, Zhu Caihou's bright path suddenly rose like a kite thanks to his ability to build relationships with influential leaders such as Jiang Zemin or Hu Jintao. In 1992, this was the most significant turning point for Zhu Caihou's career advancement in the military, when he was appointed as the political commissar of the 16th Army Group of the Army. Zhu Caihou quickly succeeded in consolidating power not only in the Jilin region, but also in the entire Chinese People's Liberation Army. In 1999, Zhu Caihou was promoted to the rank of general and elected to the Central Military Commission of China, especially after the 16th National Congress of the Communist Party of China. Zhu Caihou held the position of Secretary of the Central Secretariat, member of the Central Military Commission, Director of the Political Bureau, and entered the ranks of the party and state leadership to control all military affairs team. In 2004, he became vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, replacing Hu Jintao when Hu Jintao became president of China. 3 years later, Zhu Caihou was elected and became one of 25 members of the Politburo. In the army, there was only one person like him who was promoted to such a high position. It was also because of his great power, being able to appoint personnel, dismiss and mobilize senior leaders, manage millions of soldiers of the Chinese Liberation Army and the Armed Police Force. It made Zhu Caihou fearless and eventually committed heinous crimes. Zhu Caihou used his position to build a sophisticated corruption network within the military. He was very clever in building and maintaining relationships with senior officers and generals. He knew how to please the leaders and, at the same time, created a network of very loyal subordinates. They not only supported him in his promotions, but also helped him maintain control over the military. These officers often received bribes and favors to maintain their positions. He regularly held meetings and conferences with senior officers, which provided opportunities for bribery and power exchanges. Zhu Caihou's corruption system was mainly focused on the appointment and promotion process within the military. Officers who wanted to climb the ladder of power often had to pay huge bribes. He established a system in which officers who tried to advance not only had to demonstrate their talent but also had to pay huge bribes to reach higher positions. Officers must pass many rounds of checks and approvals, and each round is an opportunity to receive bribes. Specific figures show that to reach essential positions, officers must spend 10-20 million yuan, equivalent to $1.5-3 million, on bribes into Zhu Caihou's pocket. Officers who cannot meet this requirement will be eliminated from the process. They have no chance of promotion and are often left out in the selection rounds. The bribes that Zhu Caihou receives from bribes to buy positions can be up to 200 million yuan, equivalent to about $30 million. Under the guise of power and fame, Zhu Caihou's wealth has reached a considerable level thanks to bribery and manipulation of power. His assets amount to 1.6 billion yuans, equivalent to about $261.8 million, with a massive amount of cash, up to more than 1 ton. To the point that the cash counters at the scene burned out from overload. Investigators were forced to use scales to measure the total amount of cash seized, which totaled more than a ton. The piles of money were neatly arranged in boxes, each labeled with the name of the bribe giver. In addition to the massive cash, Zhu Caihou hid hundreds of tons of precious jade. Many types of rare woods, jade products made from precious stones, antiques, and paintings, and calligraphy from ancient dynasties. His assets did not stop at cash and rare items. At the bottom of a well in his Jinan villa, investigators discovered $4.8 million, 4 million euros, and 800,000 pounds in cash. Investigators found 8.65 kilograms of 24,000 gold hidden under a mattress at his Zhuhai resort villa. Zhu Caihou also supported Gu Junchen, one of his close subordinates, helped him quickly climb to a unique position as deputy director of the General Logistics Department. The relationship between Zhu Caihou and Gu Junchen was not simply a support of power, but also a symbiosis in corrupt activities. Gu Junchen, as deputy director of the General Logistics Department, was responsible for managing a large amount of assets and resources of the military, including real estate and military procurement contracts. With the support of Zhu Caihou, he turned this agency into a center of corruption, where the buying and selling of positions, fake military agreements, and money laundering activities took place frequently. Gu Junchen took advantage of the relationships that Zhu Caihou had built to profit from the allocation of resources in the military. Military construction contracts and equipment purchases were often inflated in value, thereby generating massive commissions. Most of this money not only flowed into Gu Junchen's pocket, but was also shared with Zhu Caihou and other associates to maintain patronage and protection within this empire. Gu Junchen, in various forms, bribed Zhu Caihou and his family with more than 35 million yuans, equivalent to about $5.6 million. Gu Junchen also gave Zhu Caihou a prepaid bank card with 20 million yuans, equivalent to about $3.2 million, as a wedding gift for Zhu Caihou's daughter. In addition, Gu Junchen also introduced more military officers to Zhu Caihou to help promote their ranks. Gu Junchen also gave Zhu Caihou female singers, stars, actresses, and even waitresses. Even more terrifying, he brought his daughter, Gu Yanli, to present to the Empress Dowager when she had just turned 20. It is unimaginable that Zhu Caihou was having sex with his daughter in the room, and Gu Junchen was still waiting in the outside room. To hide the massive amount of assets obtained from corruption, Zhu Caihou and Gu Junchen deployed a sophisticated network. They opened a series of bank accounts to disperse and obscure the traces of assets. Zhu Caihou set up 17 accounts at 5 state-owned commercial banks, of which 14 used fake names worth up to 335 million yuans. In addition, there were 12 other accounts opened at 6 local development banks, with a total amount of up to 430 million yuans, all used under fake names. In addition to 10 accounts in 5 foreign banks, 8 of which were under false names, containing a total value of 222 million yuans. Zhu Caihou's real estate assets are also substantial. His wife owns more than 20 houses. His daughter owns 15 houses and a 10-story apartment building for rent in Beijing. These assets were all bought with money from corrupt activities and abuse of power, creating a vast financial empire that was extremely difficult to control. Zhu Caihou's corrupt assets are so terrible that it is about 87 times that of Zhou Yongkang, and overwhelmingly 130 times that of Bo Zilai. It is like a vast mountain of money overwhelming all opponents. Before that, Gu Junchen also participated in hiding corrupt assets by setting up many fake companies nationwide from Beijing to Shanghai. These companies were used to purchase real estate to invest in development projects and then transfer money abroad. These activities took place under the close supervision of Zhu Caihou, who not only protected Gu Junchen, but also directly benefited from these corrupt funds. Assassination of Senior General Liu Yuan and the Tiger in the blast furnace. Under the guise of power and success, Zhu Caihou also faced serious charges related to corruption and abuse of power. In December 2011, at the expanded military commission meeting in Beijing, General Liu Yuan, son of the late President Liu Shaoqi, former president of the People's Republic of China, made accusations targeting three corrupt figures in the military, namely Zhu Caihou, Guo Baxiang, and Liu Guangli, before the Central Military Commission and the entire conference. Special, mainly after Gu Junshan, was targeted by the General Department of Logistics and the Military Discipline Inspection Commission. The investigation of Gu Junshan encountered many obstacles due to the intervention of Zhu Caihou. At that time, Zhu Caihou was the vice chairman of the Central Military Commission and in charge of the political work of the entire army, including the Military Discipline Inspection Agency. Gu Junshan once bribed Zhu Caihou 40 million yuans, equivalent to more than $6 million, to get his superiors to help him escape punishment. However, in such a sensitive situation, Zhu Caihou did not dare to accept the above amount of money directly, but instead entrusted it to a trusted person to keep for him. However, no matter how hard he tried to cover up his crimes, Gu Junshan could not escape being investigated. He was arrested in January 2012 in the Chinese government's anti-corruption campaign. This incident was like a punch in the face to Zhu Caihou, causing him to panic and immediately seek a way to deal with Liu. To avoid being investigated, Zhu Caihou initially used money to lure and trap Liu Yuan, hoping to control and even turn the situation around. However, all his schemes failed in the face of Liu Yuan's courage and determination. There was no way back. Zhu Caihou began to think of assassinating the person who dared to denounce him. Throughout 2012, Zhu Caihou was involved in 3 assassination plots targeting Liu Yuan. All of them were carried out with terrifying sophistication and brutality. In March 2012, General Liu Yuan's private car suddenly caught fire while traveling on the Beijing-Tianjin Expressway due to an explosion of the gas tank. His driver was severely burned and died. Meanwhile, General Liu Yuan's bodyguard was also seriously injured while bravely protecting him from danger. It did not stop at the end of July 2012. When General Liu Yuan returned to Qingdao for a vacation, a stranger threw a firebomb into apartment 206, where he planned to stay. The fire broke out fiercely. But fortunately, General Liu Yuan ended his vacation early and left the apartment 3 days earlier. The third assassination attempt occurred in late September 2012. When Liu Yuan was inspecting work in the Jinan military region, the gas pipe in the bathroom of room 402, where he was staying, exploded in the middle of the night. However, because he was outside discussing work with his assistant, he was also lucky to escape the assassination attempt by a hair's breadth. All 3 attempts to assassinate General Liu Yuan failed. Despite his repeated attempts to silence and eliminate the whistleblower, Zhu Caihou still could not prevent the truth about his crimes from being exposed. While Zhu Caihou was struggling in the mess he had created, another political storm began. Xi Jinping, the supreme power cow, in 2012 launched the anti-corruption campaign. A large-scale anti-corruption campaign targeting even the most potent tigers in the government and military. Zhu Caihou, with his network of corruption and crimes, has been targeted by this campaign. Under the relentless direction of President Xi Jinping, the investigation teams conducted a series of searches of real estate and assets owned by Zhu Caihou. The assets confiscated from Zhu Caihou's home required more than 10 military trucks. The investigation team compiled a list of the assets seized from corruption, then confronted Zhu Caihou and forced him to confess. During the investigation, Zhu Caihou was stubborn. He denied the accusations and tried to use money and connections to influence the investigation process. He tried to mitigate his actions by giving reasons and justifying the origin of his assets and business activities. Zhu Caihou was brought to trial before legal agencies in China, and public trials were held to try the charges. His corruption included accepting large bribes and abusing power. In June 2015, Zhu Caihou was sentenced to life in prison for corruption, accepting bribes and abusing power. He also had all his land assets in France confiscated and was severely punished for illegal gains. Zhu Caihou's life and career, from the difficult early days to the peak of power. Zhu Caihou did not hide his ambitions. But it was his ambition and thirst for power that led him down the dark path of corruption and abusing power. Zhu Caihou could have achieved a lot of success in his life if he had not been so greedy to the point of insatiability. Zhu Caihou is the fattest tiger in the cow pot, exposing the corruption of President Xi Jinping. Zhu Caihou's life ended not only with the criminal sentence, but also with loneliness. When facing illness and giving, when he died, he had no one to talk to, no family, no relatives. And all the money and material things he had used tricks to disappear before Caihou's eyes.